Hey folks, thanks for tuning in. I'm Den Haring and my channel is FishDen365 and welcome back to Topwater Tuesday. Today we're going to be talking about the Lucky Craft Sammy 65. Now, we talked about the Lucky Craft Sammy on one of the past Topwater Tuesdays, but the Sammy 65 is so different and so special. I thought that I would talk about it individually today, especially because at this time of year, this bait is absolute dynamite in most systems. In fact, this bait gets really good right from post-spawn right through fall, right through, before the water starts getting too cold to fish topwater. And that's primarily because after the spawn in spring, there's a lot of small bait fish in the water. Those fry are growing up, and guess what? They're about this size at this time of the year now, the young of the year fry, whether they're alewives or perch or whatever they are. And so there's a lot of bait this size in the water right now. And on certain days, you'll see them up top, especially on humid days. You'll see them near the surface, and these are probably the best imitator of some of these bait fish that I can think of. And the reason why I like the Sammy 65 so much is it's got this little profile, right? But it's a pretty heavy bait for the size of it. It's not hard to cast. And that's the nice thing about it. The hooks are set up in a way where you can put a number 6 hooks on here. They won't interfere with each other no matter what you do, as long as your split rings aren't huge. So it's a really well-designed bait because I can still use my topwater bait casting rod to cast it, which means I can put a little more pressure on the fish that I catch with it. Now, you could also throw this on a spinning rod if you don't have a bait caster that's set up for this. And in a spinning rod, you'll throw this thing a very long way. So that's another advantage if you want to get a very long cast, for fish that are in the jumps, that are skittish, that are up eating small bait fish. A spinning rod could get this thing out very, very far. So this thing, it sits on the water with an attitude similar to this. And so it's meant to be a walk the dog bait, but it doesn't. It does walk the dog, but it does it in a inconsistent fashion, which I actually think works for it. Like it'll spit on one twitch, the next twitch it'll go to the side, the next twitch to the other side, then it might spit or it might even pop out of the water. If you fish this fast, you can almost make it like pop out of the water and go back in. And oftentimes little bait fish will do that. If you watch, especially little alewives, they'll pop out. This happens all over the place where alewives live. Beltsville, Nockamixon, Blue Marsh, Wallenpaupack. In the evenings, as the late summer and fall progresses, you'll see them popping out. And Delaware River is another place where the little baby shad do this. By the way, this thing is a killer on the Delaware River for smallmouth bass. This time of year now, right? We have the shad spawn. They spawn back in April and I guess in May, depending on how far up the Delaware you go. And now all those young of the year shad, all those little tiny shad fry, they're about this size now and they're all heading down the river. And if you fish the river, you can look for this and you'll see them. They'll be in schools and they'll be popping out. And if you spend enough time in the river, you'll see fish breaking on them, busting on them in the middle of the river, and sometimes in pools. Anywhere these things are, you'll see smallmouths busting on them. Sometimes you'll see stripers busting on them. And this bait looks just like them. I mean, this is the size. You can make it work just like those alewives work. And it catches fish like dynamite on the Delaware this time of year. To me, it's the best smallmouth thing you can throw on the river this time of year. So if you've got a river system near you and you have a Sammy 65 and you're not throwing it, you're missing out. Because I'm telling you, it'll catch fish and it'll catch them. It catches good ones as well. That's the other thing. I like this on the lakes. Wallenpaupack, Beltsville. Those clear water, high-pressured lakes. Smaller bait, smaller profile. You're going to get more bites, and you'd be surprised at the size of the smallmouths that smash this thing. And if you live in some of the southeastern states or are a little in the middle portion of the country and you like to fish for spotted bass, I am absolutely sure that this would be a spotted bass killer where there's small threadfin shad. So that's another way you can throw and fish this bait. I usually, I like to throw this on bait casting gear. Like I said, I use a light and tough Daiwa topwater rod. It's specific for topwater. I use 20-pound braid on that particular rod and reel, and then I use a leader, a monofilament leader, anywhere between 10 and 17-pound test. I've used 17-pound tests, and these things still work really nicely. even with that heavier diameter line. 10-pound test works good. Anywhere in between those are fine, and you can still cast the bait a good distance with that kind of equipment. I use a pretty high speed reel, anything from a 6.3 to 7.8 to 8.3 gear ratio range would be fine for this particular bait. If you can find some of these baits, get your hands on, try them, and see if you don't agree with me. And if you do fish these baits, I'd love to hear from you. Let me know what you think. I really am crazy about this Sammy 65 at certain times of the year. It's a small bait, but boy, it is dynamite when the conditions are right. Well, I hope you got something out of the video. If you did, give me that thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We're all about the art and science of fishing, especially bass fishing. It is an art. You as the fisherman are the artist, but you use the science of knowing something about the fish, the fisheries, the environment they're in, to utilize your methods, your presentations, your art to catch these fish. That's what this channel is about, teaching and sharing those ideas and concepts. Hope to see you on the water, and as always, may God bless your fishing endeavors.